teaming up to take the sheriff down. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and ahead of tonight's state dinner, a very weird state of affairs. Mexican President Felipe Calderon in Washington today, blasting Arizona's tough new immigration law. Now, he says it discriminates against his people, and he is getting the backing of our president, who calls the law troublesome. The sheriff who says it is time to set the record straight and tell the Mexican president to just butt out. The sheriff of Maricopa County, Arizona, Joe Arpaio, joins us right now. Sheriff, what do you make of this? I think you were indirectly the subject of a press conference today.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a badge of honor. I was a director in Mexico City for 4 years, worked with the president and attorney general, had no problems years ago. Why is the president of Mexico concerned about Arizona? He's got his problems. Why does he tell everybody in Arizona not to go to Mexico since they're killing thousands of people and he just legalized drugs? The best kept secret in the universe that now you can use drugs legally in Mexico. So he should watch his own country and keep Arizona, let us do what we want to do and stay out of our business.
Were you surprised that at least from this president, I'm talking the President of the United States, there wasn't a whole lot of disagreement?
Well, you know, the president has other problems with relations with Mexico. I can understand that. But let's not use the federal law and the state law as a vehicle to interfere with the cooperation between Mexico and the United States. That law that you're talking about that was just passed is the same as the federal law. If he doesn't like our laws, he ought to look at the same laws that the federal government has. So I'm very confused. They haven't read the law. They don't know what they're talking about. Now you got people from the presidency on both sides of the border interfering with the state laws, and that's not right.
By the way, that law is up on our website for all to read on both sides of the border here. But apparently it's something that those who are criticizing you a lot and this Arizona crackdown a lot have not even read. And I just want you to listen to this, Sheriff.
Have you had a chance to review the new law that was passed by the state of Arizona?
I have not reviewed it in detail. I certainly know of it.
Have you read the law
as well? Have I read the law?
Yes.
No.
Have you read the Arizona law?
I have not had a chance to. I've glanced at it. I have not read it.
Those are some of our top security officials who haven't even read it, Sheriff.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're against it anyway. Even I know Janet. She never did like the way I operate. Attorney General of the United States is investigating me. 60 days into the Obama administration, he sent 9 civil rights lawyers down here to Phoenix. They've been following me around for a year and a half. And by the way, if we're racial profiling with the thousands of arrests, I guess we're doing okay so far. So why worried about the new law?
Nevertheless, Sheriff, you have become sort of the poster boy on the left of everything that could go wrong with this, and they haven't been shy about targeting you. This is just from chats I've had over the last couple of weeks. Listen to this.
Let me just warn you, maybe if you were walking around the streets of Phoenix, Sheriff Joe might stop you. You look sort of Latino.
Says there's no racial profiling, and yet says he can recognize illegal immigrants by the type of clothes they wear.
He said that to me.
This is really the name of the sheriff.
Some of those weren't on just this show, but Geraldo often imitates me. So, Sheriff, what do you make of that? You've become a whipping boy here.
Oh, that's okay. After 50 years in law enforcement, many, many years with the Department of Justice as a high law enforcement official, it's sad that they're going after me. I dedicated my whole life around the world to fight the illegal drug traffic. Now it's the immigration. Let them do what they want. I'm not concerned. I will continue to do my job. I took an oath of office. Maybe these other politicians ought to remember they took an oath of office to enforce all the laws, especially in Mexico when they have the toughest laws in the whole continent relating to illegal immigration. Why is the president concerned about our laws in Arizona?
All right. Well, it must be something when you become the subject of a press conference, so there is that.
Well, you know, hey, what's new?
Sheriff.
I'm not concerned about it.
All right, you didn't appear too concerned. Sheriff, thank you very much. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.